Here. Here. Feel. Hear, feel, think.
Hey! Hey, you! You alright, lass? You were moaning something fierce a while there. Feeling the effect of Aether, I reckon. You'll get used to it, though, don't worry. You there, halt! What's all this about? Inspection. Men, search the carriage. I'm just an honest peddler, friend, so, don't be too disappointed if you don't find nothing, eh? Mind your tongue, old man, lest I cut it out. Sir, look, Somnus. Honest peddler, was it? Since when do honest peddlers deal in prohibited herbs? You're in a lot of trouble, old man. You'll rot in a dungeon till the end of your days. Unless you can afford the fine. Business as usual. Ah! Amalja! Amalja! To arms! To arms! Seven hells! Consider this a warning. Now go! All of you! That kind of excitement ain't good for the heart. You be careful around them brass blades, lass. Bastards will have the shirt off your back if they fancy it. Like common bandits they are, only less honest. Thank the gods for sending some beastmen to do the rescue, huh? Hey, seeing as we still got a long ride ahead, you mind keeping me company till we arrive? Them youngins don't much care for conversation, see? Rent's the name, and peddling's me trade. And, judging by your unusual garments, I'll wager you're one of them new adventurers. I knew it. Going everywhere the wind blows, seeking fortune and glory, now that's what I call living. So long as you can avoid dying, I mean. Ain't no secret that adventuring's a risky business, these days especially. What was it that first attracted you to it? This actually used to matter, but it really doesn't matter anymore, but I'm gonna go with to gain power. Power? As in, power to do good? Like protecting the weak and fighting for what's right and all that? Aye, I thought that's what you meant. Well, adventurers do get up to a lot of fighting, that's for sure. You'll never be short of a chance to polish your warcraft in the adventuring business. When you arrive in town, you'd best enroll at the Adventurers Guild. They'll set you on the right path. And it wouldn't hurt to join a guild, neither. Uldah's home to a few, so if you fancy learning how to fight with a sword, your fist, or even spells, you should think about seeking one out. Just remember though, there are more important things than fortune and glory, such as breathing. Ain't no profit in being dead, and that's a fact. By the by, is this your first trip to Uldah? Sure, yes. It is. Well then, let this journeyed itinerant tell you the ins and outs of your destination. Uldah is ruled by the Sultana in name, but as most folk know, the Syndicate holds all the real power. Them and the monetarist cronies could happily get rid of her grace altogether, but that won't happen while she still commands the loyalty of the Royalists, and the Royalists are nothing if not loyal. Those factions have long fought over power, throwing the weight of their wealth against each other, and they show no sign of stopping. Of course, the Lizardmen, that's the Amalja, couldn't care less about Uldan politics. They have their own interests, see, and they ain't afraid to use force to serve them. They say war is a gift to peddlers, need breeding profit, and though it shames me to say it, I'm inclined to agree. Ah, at long last. Behold Uldah, jewel of Thanlan, where folk turn sand into gold.
Deep in the sun-baked south, surrounded by the shifting sands of an endless desert, she rises, a solitary rose amidst the dust and rock, a symbol of defiance. Her name, Uldah. Even with the coming of the seventh umbral era, hope springs eternal for the mongers and merchants who vie for lost fortunes in this bustling oasis. As the twin faces of Nold Thal maintain their vigil over all that has been and shall be, the present proffers a brave soul. One whose arrival could mark the beginning of a new era of prosperity for the realm.
And here's where we part ways, lass. I'm off to the markets to deliver me wares, then it's on to the high road for me. Here, I want you to have this, by way of thanks for putting up with me prattle. You never did tell me your name, though. Hey, but here's an idea. Become the sort of storied personage I can brag about having met, and I'll consider us square.
May the traders nurture our fortunes as they kindle the flames which burn within us all. For by fire are we reborn.
Oi, Venture, over here. I mean you. Fresh off the carriage by any chance? Eh? How can I tell? Name's Wyman, and my business is knowing every bugger else's. Now then, what if I was to offer you some invaluable advice by way of welcome to our fair city? Free of charge even, just this once like. Alright, so, welcome to Final Fantasy XIV. Let's talk about the character first. I chose a Viera for a few reasons. The first reason being, I don't have a Viera. I have a couple characters, and Viera is not one that I have. And I wanted to pick, for the playthrough, something that was kind of exotic and unique to Final Fantasy, so I didn't want to play like a human. I thought about a Mikote, but a lot of people play Mikote, and it's been around since the beginning. Didn't feel like that was really that unique either. Thought about playing an Aura, but I have an Aura, and I also, for story reasons, which you won't find out for a long time, but many episodes later down the line, there's a reason why playing an Aura to me doesn't make sense for a playthrough. So it really just kind of left me with Viera or Rothgar, which are the two newer races. And I don't really like to look up the Rothgar that much. I tried them out when they came out, and I played on one for a little while, and they're okay. But if I'm picking between the two, I definitely like Viera. Plus, Viera, also one more reason was that Viera are well known from Final Fantasy XII with Fran and the Tactics series, so I felt like Viera was the way to go. I did not pick Viera for the exotic outfit. Please don't think that. It's just what you get to start off with. So hopefully it doesn't throw anybody off too bad. But yeah, we went with Viera. I like the look, but you know, this game lets you change your character's design at any time. So I may change your look later. Who knows? I may even completely change your race. We'll see. But yeah, this is my Viera. All this UI stuff is going to change too eventually, but we'll worry about that later. One other thing I wanted to point out was why Ul'dah. And this one was a little bit hard too for me because I had to choose between, well, first off, what class you pick to start off with, which job you start off with. Paladin, White Mage, Black Mage, etc. Like, that decides what city you start off in. And I wanted to play a tank to start off with because I usually play a tank anyway, but also because tanks are easier to get through dungeons and stuff. That like, just so much easier to do the dungeons when you're the tank, I think, for me personally. So it was between a warrior or warrior, which is the one with the big axe, or the gladiator / paladin, which is the sword and shield. And after a lot of debate about it, what I decided was the more interesting story between the two cities, and really between the two classes, is Paladin. Paladin has an interesting class story, and I don't believe Warrior's class story is very good at all. So that's really the main reason we chose Ul'dah. So there are differences depending on which city you start in, but we're just gonna go with Ul'dah. So here we are, Ul'dah, Viera, starting off as a gladiator. Let's do this. "'Tis plain to anyone with eyes that you don't know your way around here. If I let you go wandering off down the nearest dark alley, you're certain to get mugged or worse, and I don't want that on my conscience. So, before you do anything else, you want to head over to the quicksand and speak with Modi. She's the master of the Adventurers Guild and can set you on the right path. Just take these steps over yonder and pass through the double doors. You'll find her inside. And that's as much as you're getting for free. Good luck with the adventure. So if we go in here, if you're wondering why it looks empty, because it does look totally empty right now. Up until you finish talking to Momodi, you're in your own little world. There's actually not going to be anybody else here. But once I talk to Momodi and finish the storyline here, then I'm on the server with everybody else. Why, hello there! Who might you be? If you're looking to join the Adventurers Guild, you've come to the right place. Name's Momodi, and I own this fine establishment, if it pleases you. I also manage the Adventurers Guild here in Ul'dah, so you might say that looking after green adventurers like yourself is my vocation. And lucky for you that it is. Without someone like me to steer you right, you'd soon find yourself out in the middle of nowhere, caught up in the business you don't understand. Like our conflict with Yamalja, for example. They've been plaguing the Sultanate for nigh on, forever now. Then there's the Garlean Empire. None can say for sure what they're plotting these days, only that they are. Aye, the people drink and make merry, but underneath it all, there's worry. Worry and a lingering feeling of loss. And, little wonder, it's scarce been 5 years since the Lesser Moon cracked open like a giant egg, releasing an abomination intent on turning the realm into an 8th hell. So much was lost in the blink of an eye. 'Twas like the end of the world had come at last. But then things began to get foggy. Everyone's got their own version of what happened next. Some of them, 2 or 3. You'd think people would remember something like that, but the fact is they don't. Nobody does. I'm just going to put in a quick edit note here. What she's talking about is the original version of Final Fantasy XIV. They had it out for about a year, and it was like its own little story and stuff, and to be honest, it was not a good game. It was so bad, in fact, that they decided to shut it down and rework the whole thing from scratch, and that's how we got Final Fantasy XIV, quote unquote, A Realm Reborn, which was like the subtitle for the re-release of it. And so what she's talking about there is the stuff that happened in the original version of the game that doesn't exist anymore. Nobody can remember it because it doesn't exist anymore, but there was a storyline between that carried between the two. So if you did play the original and then you played this one, it makes sense to you, but this way you don't have to have played the original, which is good, because I only played the original for a little while and it was so bad I couldn't stay. There is one thing the survivors agree on, though: the part played by a band of adventurers who laid down their lives for a realm that wasn't their own. They fought valiantly, and like so many others, they never returned. Deeds worth remembering, I'm sure you'll agree. It's just a shame our recollections of those brave heroes are as jumbled as those of the Calamity itself. Whenever we try to call their faces to mind, it's like they're standing between us and the midday sun, permanently silhouetted. I'll bet that sounds poetic to you, doesn't it? Well, it's not. It's bloody and infuriating. But even if we can't remember them, we'll not let them be forgotten, and so we call them the Warriors of Light. And they'll forever stand as shining examples of what adventurers can achieve. That's why I welcome new arrivals like yourself to the fair city. All I ask is that you lend a helping hand and try to leave Ul'dah in a better state than you found her. If you can promise that, I'd be happy to let you join the guild. Alright then, a promise is a promise now. I'm counting on you to help to put the past behind us. We need people working and spending and bickering like the old days. And a happy and prosperous Ul'dah means more business for the quicksand too. Any road, let's make this official. Go ahead and write your name in the register neat as you can. Sophie Hiscaris, which was totally a random. I just did the random. Well, ain't that a charming name? Just rolls off the tongue, it does. Alright, Miss Hiscaris, on behalf of the Adventurers Guild, I officially... Please, sir, be merciful. 12 is my witness, I swear to you, I'll bring you your money. In the East, it is said that even a merciful god might be driven to vengeance if thrice blasphemed. Be grateful you were given a fourth chance to offend. You two, attend to this scum. No, please, mercy. Well, ain't that a sorry sight? Nor an uncommon one, if I'm honest. Don't worry though, if you work hard, I doubt you'll end up like him. Just the same, if you ever need a bit of advice about one thing or another, pay me a visit. Just don't go bothering me every time you stub your bloody toe, alright? Of course, I do enjoy hearing a lady muse on about the many manhoods of her acquaintances from time to time. Anyway, welcome to Old Sophie. Take a moment to catch your breath, and I'll teach you a little about our fair city. Before you go charging off to find your fortune, I have a few basic tasks I'd like you to perform so as to help you get to know the place. First of all, I want you to visit the Aetheryte Plaza. To get there, head west from here till you reach Emerald Avenue, then look to the north. You should see a giant floating crystal called an Aetheryte. If it weren't for Aetherites, traveling around Eorzea would be damn sight more troublesome than it is. Of course, you still need to attune with them before you can use them, so be sure to do that with the one in the plaza. You ever attuned with an Aetheryte before, Sophie? If not, just lay your hand on the thing and you'll see what I mean. When you've done that, I want you to pay a visit to the Gladiators Guild over at the Colosseum. Assuming that sword ain't just for show, you might consider training there. And finally, I want you to visit the Sapphire Avenue Exchange over on the Steps of Fall. Goods from all across Eorzea and beyond turn up there every day. You'll have no trouble finding armor, weapons, or anything else a fledgling adventurer like yourself might need. You might say that everything's for sale here in Ul'dah as long as you've got the guild. Just make sure as you don't pay more than you ought, Sophie. There's plenty as won't scruple to swindle unsuspecting foreigners like yourself, especially if they think no one's looking out for their best interests. Which is why I'm giving you this letter. When you visit the exchange, find a gentleman named Cessaroga and give it to him. He'll be happy to tell you about the markets once he's read it. In short, then, visit the Aetheryte Plaza, the Gladiators Guild, and the Sapphire Avenue Exchange. Simple. Oh, but before you go, a word of advice. While there's more than a few unsavory characters out there who will try to take advantage of you, there are also some with honest-to-goodness problems who you should consider offering a helping hand to. A lot of folk are lured to the city by the promise of wealth and power. What many of them fail to realize is that instead of chasing after guild the moment they get here, they ought to be making friends. Let it be known that you're willing to give as much as you get, and opportunities will come your way. Speaking of which, you should speak to the smith over yonder. Those lads always have some good advice for up-and-coming adventurers. Otherwise, that's about it from me. It's past time you got going. Oh, and let me know when you finished, will you? That way I won't spend my days worrying that you're down to your small clothes without a guild to your name. Oh, and there you see all the people now. Hello, all the people. I'm on the server with everybody else now. Woohoo!
I broke you, and I'm trying to fix this, but